Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to this video today. My name is Michael Jospe and I'm really excited to be here and to dive into these live videos that we're going to be doing on Nature Connected Coaching. So just real quick, I'm just checking my systems. It looks like my audio is working, so that's good. I got my notes, I'm ready to go. So in this video here, we are going to be talking about what I think to be one of the most important skills of a nature connection coach, and it's something called deep listening. And I want to be able to explain that to you and give you some ways of accessing that skill, that state of deep listening. So first, I just want to say that, when I started as a coach, as a guide for other people, in fact, I didn't start as a coach. I started as a guide, a wilderness guide. And, I came into this work through the wilderness. It wasn't through therapy or even coaching or anything. I came in through the wilderness. And even before I started as a wilderness guide, I was just working on my own relationship to nature, and specifically um, more of a personal, like self-discovery type of relationship with nature. That to me is what, when I talk about wilderness guiding, that's what I'm referring to. I'm referring to taking people into nature, into the wilderness for deep self-discovery, clarity, and so forth. So, if somebody came to me and they were saying, can you help me, reorganize my life? I've gone through this big transition, or I'm starting to understand something new in my life, or whatever. My first thought is we got to go to nature. We got to go out into the wilderness, and not necessarily out into the deep wilderness, but out into the quiet nature that helps provide some deep reflection. And there is, in my mind, there's such a big difference between just coaching somebody outside and inviting nature in to that process almost as a co-guide. And that's something that really started to form for me in the years of development that I went through in terms of being able to be a nature connected coach and work with people in this way, is really that I started to see that the deeper I went into my relationship to nature, the more I was able to learn about myself, the more I was able to find clarity within myself. And maybe that was my own wisdom that was starting to come through those relationships with nature. But gosh, it sure felt like nature participated in that. And as that was starting to happen more and more for me, it became like a real interest of mine to to try to help other people have that, because I'm sure you've experienced that as well, where I mean, I don't think you'd be watching this honestly if you didn't already have a very special relationship to nature and want other people to have that same type of relationship, to feel like they're truly benefiting from that interaction with nature. And I wanted to help people have that same type of experience. So that's what kind of guided me into this whole work that we now call nature connected coaching. In fact, before, in the very beginning, it was called transformational wilderness guiding. And in fact, that's still a certification that you can get from us as a transformational wilderness guide. And as I started training people in this, and also going through my own personal growth around this, I started to realize that our students were really wanting to develop a career in this, not just learn these techniques, but actually do it and make a living doing it. And that's what I was doing. And so I started to really think about, okay, how do I help our students really develop a career in this work. And that is kind of where we are now. There's a whole lot of pieces between that moment of discovery and where we are now. But we're now a 2-year career development program where credentialing and certification is part of all of that. So the focus that we have here on helping people develop a career where they're um, able to bring their clients, work with their clients in collaboration with nature and really help their clients make changes in their life. And so, this process that we start to go through in developing our relationship to nature and deepening our relationship to nature, this is something that I became very passionate about, and really starting to think about how do I help my clients have that kind of relationship. Um, you know, there is we over the years, I've developed a whole process for how you work with your clients and support them into that relationship to nature. And that is something that we teach in the foundations of our certification program. The foundations is the very first part of the program, and that's coming up in June. That's one of the reasons why we're doing these videos, because I really want people to understand what this opportunity is for you. And if you're someone who is really thinking about becoming a nature connected coach, wanting to understand about what we're doing and how to get certified, we're starting in June. That is the only opportunity in 2024 to start the program is in June. But it's really kind of a unique experience because we're starting in that foundations takes place in the wilderness. In fact, the backdrop that you see behind me right now is the location outside of Gunnison, Colorado, up in the mountains in this beautiful wilderness property that we have access to. And like if you were sitting on that log behind me there and looking at the camera, you would be looking at the view of our camp. And we take 12 students at a time, so it's a very small group. All the food's provided, and it's an 8-day wilderness retreat, wilderness intensive, where you learn the foundations of nature connected coaching and some of the skills that I'm going to be. Well, you'll be definitely learning the skill that I'm going to be sharing with you today, but really expanding on it. But not only just this skill, but how do you facilitate a nature connected coaching process? And our students, when they finish that foundations, they still have a whole year of training ahead of them. But at that point, when you finish that foundations, you can start working with clients. You can actually start getting paid working with clients at that point. So it's really exciting, and it's a really wonderful experience, that wilderness retreat. So if that's something that is of interest to you, you got to let us know, because I think there's only about 6 seats left right now in that June cohort, and we're trying to get that filled up. So application is the first step on that. Now let's go back to this process of developing this deeper connection with our clients, because we kind of know how to do that ourselves, right? I mean, you already have a relationship to nature. Hopefully this what I share with you today will kind of enhance that a little bit. But you already have a relationship to nature, and you want to help your clients into that space so they can really begin to have a transformational experience with nature that's important to them. And there's so much that I want to say about that, because when someone starts to go through a process of healing and nature is included in that healing, that becomes wired in. Nature becomes wired in. It's part of the conversation. It's that tree that helped them have more clarity, or that experience that they had, is a memory that'll never fade. And it becomes so essential in our in being able to help our communities and help our clients begin to really, um, uh, you know, have nature become a huge part of the way that they think and the choices that they make. So, anyways, that's a bit of a tangent right there. Um, let's see. Oh, I see a question that just came in. Um, and something about looking at starting a master's program. You know, how do you steer your education if your final destination is nature-based coaching or therapy? Um, I want to say that, nature-connected coaching, while it is a really in-depth training with a professional credential that's involved in it, it's not a master's degree. It's a different thing. And a master's, and depending on what you want, what you're trying to get in that master's program, or like what degree you're studying. I think that it's you know, NCC can become a real supplement to that, can become something that supports that process that you're going through. We've had many students who are getting masters in psychology come through the program and do it simultaneously. So it's very possible, the way that our program is set up, you can have a full-time job and busy lives and so forth and still be able to work towards this certification. And and then if you're kind of on the fence, do I need to get a master's? Do I go down this road? That kind of thing. That's something that we can talk about with you and try to help you make the right decision based around your goals. We are set up as a career development program. So our intention here is that, you're coming into this with the desire to want to help people and learn these skills, be able to learn them, and then, and have everything that you need at that point to begin to build a career as a nature connected coach. And I'm going to get more into those details probably in another video of what that all looks like. But I want to come back to this concept here of supporting our clients to get in to that deep connection to nature, because the way that I look at it, one of the things that we talk about here in at EBI is that there's like 3 different types of relationships that people can have with nature. And you might have, relate to these in some way. And so really, one type of relationship is very transactional. This is like go out for a run or something like that, but you're not really connecting with nature. You're just out there. It's like you're out in the nature or something. You're not really doing anything with it. You're not really engaging with it and relating to it. Okay. Then the next that we call is more like therapeutic. This would fit more into like the category of like forest bathing or something like that, where that immersion into nature really creates a deep sense of peace inside and this feeling of inner connection and so forth. And the next level, and really the therapeutic is such a powerful doorway into the next level that we call the transformational state or the transformational relationship. And this is really what I want to be talking about today, because this is that the skill set within this is has to do with deep listening. And so how we get into this transformational relationship to nature is through this way of relating we call deep listening. And this transformational relationship is really around a self-discovery and being able to bring questions and needs and ideas into your relationship with nature. And this, to me, is really one of the things that separated the work that I was doing with people. Or I would say it this way: this is one of the things that this idea of this transformational relationship was like how I started to get my clients into that experience with nature that was so important to me. And for me, this was about, being able to not just find peace and inner connection, but to find direction, to find clarity, to find vision and purpose, and so forth. And there is a process to guiding your client into that. And like I said, that's what we teach in that Foundations, is how you bring people there. There's a skill set for that. And one of the most important skill sets in there is deep listening. And with deep listening, it's really about your relationship personally with nature. And I think that if you are practicing the skill of deep listening and you are regularly out connecting to nature with the question in your mind, how do I support my clients? Nature, all the answers are there. Nature, in my experience, your trust in nature to provide you with clarity and insight into how to support your clients is huge. It's like one of the most important things in terms of that relationship, is being able to trust nature. But all the answers are there, and all the answers are there for your clients and so forth. So let's talk about this accessing deep listening. Let me just look at my notes here real quick. Yeah, I think we're good. I don't want to go for too long here. I want to make sure that this video is something that you can, really digest and ask more questions about and go further with. Okay, so this idea of accessing deep listening, one of the things we talk a lot about neuroscience in our certification program. And the reason for that is because, when we're talking about relationship and we're talking about communication and transformation and growth, you can't have that conversation without talking about the brain, really. I mean, like, nothing can really change in your life unless your brain changes. All right. And you can go change your environment and so forth, and your brain is going to start to change around the changes in your environment. But your brain is also, the best way that I can say it, and something that I kind of discovered years ago, is it's very formulaic. And you can access different states of awareness by, kind of doing a little bit of this and adding a little bit of this. And then, you can find yourself in a deeper state of connection with nature, with yourself, and so forth. So you think about, what are you doing when you're meditating, right? You're doing something very focused with your brain that helps access a certain state. So in a similar way, one of the things that we're doing with our nature connection is we're not necessarily closing ourselves off like we might do in meditation, where we close our eyes. And there's even practices where you close your ears and you really kind of shut yourself off from the environment around you to really kind of go deeply in and access some deep quiet place inside. From a nature connection perspective, we're going the other way. We're going out into our connection and relationship with nature. And what's really powerful with that is that when you concentrate on that expansive connection with nature, your mind actually gets really quiet. So, I can't go too deep into any sort of real kind of experiential teaching here right now because of the way that this is set up. But I'm going to try to describe some methodology here in a very simple way that hopefully you will be able to grasp one of these. I'm going to share with you 3 different ways. Hopefully one of them can kind of help you access that state. And my sense is that when you do, you're going to go, I know this. I'm familiar with this. I do this all the time. And when you're there in that state of deep listening, now you are able to support a transformational experience with yourself or with your clients. But you got to get into this state to really open that space up. Okay? So here's some ideas. So the first is that you can access it in this way. You can go inward. You could shut your eyes and go inward into your body and become tuned in and aware to the felt sense of your body. Okay, that concept of a felt sense is really important. You tune into that felt sense of your body, your entire body. And once you've kind of dropped into that, then expand your awareness. And I do that through my ears and through my eyes. So I expand my awareness all around me and externally, or through my eyes as well, while I'm staying in touch with the felt sense of my body. What that does is there's a shift that starts to happen inside. And that shift brings you right into that place of deep listening. Okay? Now, when you're in that place of deep listening, you are now feeling what you're hearing. You are now tuned in to your surroundings in a way that you weren't before. There is a clear shift of your attention away from a tunneled, focused up in your head to expansive and aware and connected. Okay? So another route is to kind of go the opposite way. So you have to find what works best for you. Do you expand your awareness out, with a wide angle vision, a wide listening all around you in all different directions, really kind of quieting your mind through that sensory awareness, and then dropping into your body, bringing the two together? There's something really important about that process from a neuroscience perspective of bringing these different states together that activate something inside. So you could try it that way too, where you are, again, you're going to expand your awareness out. So I want to encourage you to after you've watched this, go outside and try these. Figure out which one of these helps you access that state the most. Okay, and like I said, when we're at the foundations, we go through this. I mean, right now I'm trying to teach this to you in about 3 minutes. We spend days working on this in the foundations, really accessing this state in many different ways, learning how to bring it into the coaching context and so forth. Okay. Now, before I share this last one, I just mentioned that coaching context. And I want to just speak to that really quick, okay? Because when I first started with this work, like I said, it was about guiding, right? It was about guiding people into this place, and that coaching was not coaching came next. But I've started to find how essential coaching is. And I'm not just talking about just call yourself a coach. I'm talking about professional coaching, which is a title that is held within the International Coach Federation, which is Earth-Based Institute is accredited by the International Coach Federation, and the ICF provides a professional credential to all of our graduates. Okay, so this adds a deep or a deep level of professionalism to the work that you're doing. So it's not just about calling yourself a coach or calling yourself a life coach. It's about really understanding the skill of coaching and how this fits in. Because for me at first, the coaching really became helpful after somebody had a profound experience in nature. The integration coaching, which is a huge thing right now, integration of profound experiences. This is a big topic that's happening right now of how do we integrate really profound experiences into our lives. And so coaching is a very effective way for that integration. But as I started to learn, coaching fits in on all sides of that experience. Coaching can help create the container that helps somebody get into that experience, and it can support the process of someone going through that profound experience, and of course, helping them on the other end of it. So deep listening becomes a skill set that you are using throughout the entire process of your work with your client. All right, so let's go back here to our deep listening. Let me just talk about this last piece, which, I kind of stumbled on this. And I remember, have you ever, I'm sure you've been in like a pool or, swimming in the ocean or a pond or something like that, and you can kind of feel the weight of water around you. And I started to realize how that's kind of similar to this state of deep listening. That the space that fills in between all of the solid aspects around us, the trees and so forth, that space, which we would just call air or open space, actually has a felt sense to it. And so sometimes it can really help to almost visualize that you are like underwater in a way where you can feel the weight of the environment touching your body, almost the pressure against your body a little bit of that. And going into that awareness of feeling that kind of underwater sensation almost, which brings you into that same felt sense. So if you can't just go right into that body awareness, you can go into a visualization, perhaps of being underwater. And one of my favorite things to do as a kid was to actually, when it was snowing, was to go outside and let the snow pile up on me. And this is how I really kind of came across this, was as that snow kind of piled up on me, I could feel the weight of it. And all of a sudden I started to feel myself feel more connected to the storm, to the wilderness and so forth. So same thing, as I use that same visualization in a way to kind of jumpstart that felt sense inside of me, and then expanding my awareness in all directions around me brings me more into that quiet state of nature connection and into that that opens the door for a transformational relationship to nature. Okay, so hopefully some of these will be something that you'll be able to apply in your life, and I'd love to know which one of these works well for you and which one doesn't. And what other tactics you use for getting into this state of transformational awareness with nature. Just real quick, I wanted to share this with you. This is a link to our application, and that's the first step. Okay, your first step is if this is something that you're called to, if you're like, this feels like, my thing here. really want to learn more about this, and I want to become a nature connected coach. Whether you are not sure if June is the time to start or some other time, you need to fill out the application. So here's the link to the application. Once that comes in, we'll have an interview with you and we'll talk it through. And you can get all your questions answered around all the details and so forth about the program. And then we can help you make a decision if this is the right path for you. All right. Also, in the links or in the description of this video here, you'll see a link for a flyer, and that is for this June flyer, okay, for the June cohort that starts in a couple of months and gives you some more details about what to expect for that intensive. But thanks for watching, and we'll do another one next week. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Have a wonderful rest of your day.